Okay, guys, welcome back to the mailbag segment here. We've got an interesting one this week coming up from a young lady asking me some questions about a prolapsed uterus, potentially a bladder, intestinal prolapse or something of that nature where it's dropped or distended. Chances are very, very high that it's going to be the uterus over the bladder or anything like that. And just because of how anatomy lays out, you have, it's like stacking blocks. The uterus a lot of times will drop as we age a little bit in females. And what you'll see is there's ligaments. There's a round ligament and a suspensory ligament that kind of hold everything in place. And imagine it like a balloon in a shoebox that's held on four sides. As the box moves or turns, the balloon starts to sway side to side. So when you're looking at something like this, as we get a little longer in the tooth, a little further along in life, or we've had children, surgeries, anything of that nature in the abdominal area, you weaken these structures. And what can happen then is that the uterus can distend. As it distends, you now start getting pressure on the bladder. The bladder wants to not hold as much fluid, so you get a little bit of a urinary incontinence or a frequency that can occur with it. So what do you do about something like this? And the question was, do they need to see an OBGYN? Yeah, initially you do. You want to let them look, just let them take a look and see what's going on, making sure that this is what's happening. There's not something more profound. There's not a pathology, something of that nature there. Now, once that's ruled out, the medical community's primary look at this thing is that, okay, what are they going to do for it? They'll give you some Kegel exercises and things, and we have some of those that we use in our practice. But for the most part, you're looking at meshwork surgery, some kind of an implant if it's severe. They might recommend a full hysterectomy at some point. We would like to avoid that if possible. And the ways you do these things is you go back and you start from the beginning. You examine. Now, here's where the 24-hour UA might seem odd at first. Why would you do a urine test? Because you want to know nutritionally, what is the body using? What is it holding on to? What is it throwing away? Because you're going to need different nutrients to maintain tone in muscles and ligaments. And if the body is deficient in these nutrients, then the muscles can't maintain contraction or tone, and they get lax. And when those lax muscles start to lose in the war against gravity, and it starts to pull downward. So one of the really cool things is you can do a 24-hour UA. It'll tell you what the body's holding on to and what it's throwing away. But then it gets you in the ballpark of understanding that, all right, is there some kind of a nutritional imbalance here? Now, the next thing you look for, once you've found that, you start hunting for other stresses in the body. Pelvic floor muscles are major, major players when you're looking at incontinence. You're looking at any kind of uterine discomfort, any kind of prolapse, cystoceles, rectoceles, the whole shebang. You look at the pelvic floor. Now, what's interesting is you can actually test these muscles. There's a lot of these that can be tested. It's a matter of just doing the right work. Whether you're doing CK or MMR, which we do in our practice, something of that nature, you can find out right away, are these muscles being challenged? Now, when they're failing you, that means they're not tonifying. They're not holding that supporting that ligament system, the uterus itself, up. Well, then it drops. Gravity takes over and fatigues them. So by resetting the pelvic floor muscles, by going through the muscles of the lower abdominal area, checking the hip and pelvic muscles, the glutes, all of them, the glute max, glute medius, the minimus, maybe the piriformis could be involved to some degree. By looking at all these muscles and reestablishing normal function in them, and it really is, it's a light switch, and we've done other videos in the past where we discussed how we do this. When you flip that switch back on, the muscle tonifies. When you give it the right nutrients, it's like putting gas in a car, the muscle starts to run. The last thing you want to do then is say, all right, does it need a jump start? Does it need a little electrical boom? So we would use acupuncture in our practice. And there's many different styles. I have a few that I really, really like. Implement that system. The acupuncture kind of gives the body an electrical boost, a jump start. It breaks broken circuits. It rewires things. So by supporting the muscles, putting the proper nutrition in, doing a little bit of acupuncture to give a little bit of a boost to the system, prolapsed uterus, all kinds of bladder incontinence, all these things that happen can be a thing of the past.